Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan. My handle's Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studio. IronAge Spotlight number, what are we on now? 5. And today, got a fun adventure to discuss. It is The Perils of Sasha with Mr. Rawle Nyanzi. Rawle, welcome to the program.
Glad to be on frequency.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Earlier I got into a bit of a Twitter dust up, but I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, the nice thing about the Twitter dust-ups is you don't have bruises afterwards. So,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
so tell us, how'd you get into writing?
Oh, that's easy. It started when I was 8. You see, I was watching Looney Tunes one day, and I remember in particular a Porky Pig cartoon about him and his father like okay, Porky was supposed to get feed from the market, but instead he bought these pills that have all sorts of weird effects. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I went and okay, he of course he takes the pills back to his father, and his father gets mad, and then like the animals eat the pills and all this weird stuff happens. And so the very first thing I wrote was basically just a summary of that. Then from there, I just started making things up. And, all through elementary school is a graveyard of unfinished works, many of which I don't remember, some of which I barely remember. And then in high school, a phase of fan fiction. Like most stuff I was never able to finish,
Yeah.
but but I never really stopped writing.
Well, it looks like it eventually paid off. You got a few books out there already, and the main one we're here to discuss tonight, The Perils of Sasha Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm proud of this one.
All right, so Kikoman says, soy for all. What's up,
Yeah,
Kiko? Yeah,
what's up, Kikoman?
so this world that you built in which Sasha lives, that's b- what there's quite a future you got hammered out there. Tell us about this world. Tell us about the setting.
Oh, of course. You see, the setting of this world is a yeah is indeed a future Earth. However, you'll notice that it's a future where the use of artificial intelligences is somewhat constrained. Not entirely gone, but constrained. This is because in the past of the world, which I do kind of touch upon in one of the stories, like a group of crusaders fought against robots who had conquered the world. And because these robots once ruled the earth in a state of tyranny, and then these robots were taken down by these crusaders. The artificial intelligence kind of became taboo, the way we would look at eugenics now due to Hitler's regime, for example.
Gotcha.
So that's why everyone isn't just bobbing everything off to the robots. Well, except one country, but we'll get to that.
Alrighty. All right. So there's completely different territories I've noticed in there. Like some of the U.S.'s kind of borders have been redefined, and you have like mutant country and Carolina and
Of course, I can explain each one if you want me to.
sure.
All right, you see, what used to be the U.S. is now split into four major territories. One is okay. the first one that you start in is that the book starts in is Grand Carolina. It's
Right.
it's basically made up of of the states of the old Confederacy minus Virginia, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. So basically, so it starts from about where North Carolina is and goes to the Mississippi River.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that country is meant to kind of be the normie country. You know, it's the one that's least weird out of all of them. I mean, it's a bit of because they don't have to worry about what people on the other side of the country think. It's a little bit of a caricature, you know, God, guns, and glory, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that attitude is definitely present there.
yeah, it's like that. But then but then the other territory of note here is the North American Kingdom, or El Norte for short. You see, all right, remember how I mentioned those crusaders that took down the robots?
Yes.
Well, that was the country those crusaders ended up founding. You see, they had originally come from Mexico. Yeah, they had originally come from Mexico, and thus when they took over, they decided to to impose a very specific kind of culture on the new territory that they now ruled, and they decided to do it as a kingdom, in the structure of a kingdom. Because they felt that a democratic form of governance, was a bit of a mistake. So, but ironically, they see themselves as the second America, even though they're a kingdom. Yeah, they see themselves as the inheritors of the old United States.
Right. And down in the chat, Rangmar Verillion, aka Black Knight, has also joined us. Hey, Black Knight, how you doing?
I hope you're doing fine, Black Knight. All right. All right. Now the third territory of note is, as you mentioned, mutant country. You
Right.
see, as you would imagine, it's where the mutated beings live. Because so many of these mutants are reproductively incompatible, they have to use these birthing centers to make more of themselves. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the reason for all those mutants, the reason all those mutants exist is because there's a little bit in the book mentioned where Red says Texas belongs to Grand Carolina.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, where one character from Grand Carolina says, Texas belongs to Grand Carolina. Well, like about 150 or so years before the events of the book,
Yeah.
there was a war. Yeah, there was this war in which one thing that happened was that Grand Carolina did try to retake Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana by force by using mutants. Grand Carolina lost this war, but then the mutants had to go somewhere. So mutant country was set aside just for them. However,
Okay.
the thing about mutant country is that it's unstable and violent. Like, there's a government in Jefferson City, but it really doesn't have any control outside of what we would call Missouri.
Gotcha.
So it's just this place where you have all these warlords fighting each other. Yeah. Yeah, and now the fourth and final place is the place Sasha actually comes from, the mechanized Atlantic. You see there, they leave everything to the robots. And I do mean everything. As a result, the people there do not view human life as valuable at all because it has no use. So therefore, they deem it because robots can do everything better, and they are told this, of course, by the robots.
Mm-hmm.
They see,
Yeah, the whole gaslighting thing that they do.
yeah, it's like they see humans as just eaters who are in the way of of their pleasure, so they feel it's okay to just hurt other humans since they have negative value. And yeah, and you see one thing about Sasha is that the reason why she never succumbed to that mindset is because like this like mafioso guy took her in and taught her taught her a sense of ethics. I mean, so you see how bad things are in the mechanized Atlantic when
Right.
a mafioso is like the most honorable person there.
Yeah. But yeah, you said that's where Sasha comes from. So let's
Yeah.
get into characters just a moment here. I just want to say hello to we've got Trippy Soul. He made it. He had to buy beer.
All right.
Herman P. Hunter's the Lore Forge. He's here. This Har's mutant country, son.
Yeah. You'll see more of Mutant Country in Volume 2 for sure.
Yeah, John John
Which is already out, by the way.
Yep. John Dacker says Texas belongs to Texas.
Don't let Reg hear you say that. Texas Texas belongs to Grand Carolina. That's what he would say.
Uh-huh. See, the mutants were sent to Washington D.C.
Oh
Thank you
no,
for that laugh there, Herman.
oh no, Washington D.C. is firmly inside the mechanized Atlantic. Yeah,
But
in this setup.
yeah, this was the comment from Herman P. Hunter that I think he's referring to the here and now, though.
Of course. Yeah, I know how people feel about Washington D.C. So but anyhow. Oh, but here's the other thing. But here's the other thing about the world at large.
Yeah.
It's ruled over by something called the world states. Now, here's the thing I did with the world states. Okay,
Hmm.
I did. Most people would have made it like either this evil global empire, or made it like it is in Star Trek, where it's like the happy global liberal democracy where everyone hugs each other.
Yeah.
I decided to do neither. What I did was that, you see, they recognize that they have a lot of power, but they specifically do not want to become the evil empire. So they have a policy called radical non-intervention. What that means is that they do not come to, they do not send the military forces, the United Terran Defense Force, which features a lot in that story.
Hmm.
Yeah, they do not send the UTDF down, unless a member state requests it. And when they do come down, they do as directed by the leadership of that member state. The only time they, they do something extra is when like some kind of crime or terrorism crosses borders.
Yeah, I've noticed they tend to be tied up in red tape quite often.
Yeah, for precisely that reason. Because they specifically do not want to be they on the one hand they want to maintain world peace and make sure countries don't attack each other, but on the other hand they don't want to be the evil empire.
Gotcha.
They don't want to be that.
So they're
Although
constantly trying to walk this fine line of we're here to help, but we're not going to hold your hand.
yeah, and you see the policy of radical non-intervention again sounds great on paper, but I'm sure you can think of a million ways it can go wrong.
Oh yeah, we even saw a few.
Yes. For example, that's why the mechanized Atlantic exists at all. You think that animatronic Baron asked the UTDF to do anything there?
Nope.
Exactly. And you would think that your conscience would dictate that you do something about that hellscape, but according to their laws, they don't.
Yeah, Kiko has a question.
All right.
Is this Fallout inspired?
Oh no, not at all. It's actually, yeah. It's not inspired by Fallout in the slightest. In fact, if there's any inspiration at all, okay, if there's any inspiration, it has like two big sources of inspiration. Like the first one is, of course, is obviously Terminator. It was kind of my way of answering the question: what happens after John Connor wins?
I could see that.
Yeah, it's like I wanted to kind of answer that question, and of course, you see in the story that there's a figure who is kind of similar to John Connor in the Terminator series, Saint Javier Matarobos.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that. Yeah, he's like the John Connor of the series. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Although the machines themselves seem to have a lot more personality than anything turned out by Skynet.
Oh, for sure.
Like they seem to be like their own individual minds.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. You see, that's the thing there. I didn't want again. I didn't want them to just be these whatevers. I wanted them to kind of think a little bit.
And
So,
and we have another question from Raven Nevermore. Was
all
that
right.
North Carolina to the Mississippi River? The division of states into smaller countries also sort of sounds like cyberpunk. Which I
Uh,
noticed there's a little bit of a cyberpunkish vibe to this.
oh, of course, it's the far future. There's gonna be. Oh, and also the other source of inspiration. I don't know if you've seen this movie, but have you ever seen this movie called Cloud Atlas?
I started to watch it once and then had to go do something else, and I never went back and finished it. Wait a minute, was that the
Uh,
one with Tom Hanks where he was like through multiple generations, or am I thinking of something else?
I think it's that one. Yeah, I'm not sure if Tom Hanks himself was in it, but you may be right. But yeah, you see, all right, the character. Yeah, you see, yeah, you see another inspiration was the movie Cloud Atlas, specifically the segment about Neo Seoul. All right,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of course, it's like a kind of that has a kind of cyberpunkish atmosphere.
Yeah.
Although in Cloud Atlas the Earth is in far worse shape than in Sasha Reed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe they had to like go to another planet by the end of it.
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
yeah,
And
I
Trippy
yeah
Soul
that
is saying yes, that was the movie with Tom Hanks.
okay, yeah. You see in Cloud, you see in Cloud Atlas there's this character named Sonmi 451 who was something called a fabricant, an artificial human made to serve regular humans. All right.
All right.
Yeah. The fabricants were kind of an inspiration for the mutants in the story because, but you see, whereas the fabricants were made to look human, the mutants are made to not look human.
Right. In fact, the mutants they were deliberately they mutated themselves. I believe is that did I get that right?
Not quite, but you're getting ahead of me.
Ah.
Yeah. But you see, this character named Son Mi ended up thinking for herself and noticing how badly her fellow fabricants were being treated. So of course he tried to speak out and such, and then like the government ended up killing her. All right,
As governments
and
tend to do.
yeah, you see, yeah. But I thought to myself, what if Son Mi wasn't this meek little server, but a badass warrior? And that's where the character of Kit came from.
Ah. Yeah,
That's where yeah.
I liked Kit. Kit was fun.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff about there's a lot of thought went into Kit. He was like, he's this fox priest, as you know.
Uh huh.
Yeah, it's that, it's like, yeah, in volume 2, I actually talk a little bit about like why he does what he does.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, but yeah, the idea for Kit came from Son Mi because you see, okay, but I will say this isn't a spoiler. Just a little bit of backstory I think you should know, just for the sake of
Yeah.
this discussion. It's that You see, here, unlike Son Mi, like Kit, of course, spoke out against his government, but in his case, though, he actually succeeded in overthrowing it.
Ah,
In fact, this is only incy bincy spoilers for Volume 2. Doesn't really change much. Kit is actually the one who was responsible for superhumanism,
mm-hmm.
but but he's been spending like all of his life since he first declared his thing, trying to like atone for having set off that monster. It's like like what he set off, he's trying to atone for.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's trying to defeat the thing that he himself had set off.
Yeah, that's actually a bit of a surprise. I would have never expected that was part of Kit's backstory.
But yeah, but yeah, that's Kit for you. Yeah, I mentioned it in Volume 2, but I feel you should know that.
Cool. So let's see what else
Yeah.
we got going on in the chat. Something I'd like to see in future Earth stuff is the fact that Tulsa, okay, is the farthest inland deep sea port, and it opened up in January 1971.
Really? I did not know that.
I did not
Yeah.
either.
And we've been talking about all the stuff that we haven't even gotten to our main character yet.
Yeah, so good call. Let's do this. Sasha Reed.
Yeah. As I explained to you, Sasha originally came from the mechanized Atlantic, was basically raised by a mafioso, and then when she was in high school, was sent to Grand Carolina, where she had some trouble adjusting at first. For example, she had to learn that no, you're not allowed to assault people for their sneakers. Yeah, yeah. You're not allowed to just casually kill people if you want something from them. She had to learn those things.
Yeah,
But
little life lessons.
but she had internalized them by then. But by the time she became an adult and started going to college, she had internalized that way of thinking. She had internalized a more civilized way of thinking. But she was also this very outgoing person. So she decided to become a pit girl. Now how Formula One used to allow those girls to kind of show out on the racetrack.
Yes.
Yeah, before they banned them. Yeah, that's what Sasha is in on for her racing team. That's what she, and of course she likes just kind of showing out like that. And but of course you can also see that she's very multi-talented. In fact, she ends up inventing a revolutionary technology that would allow,
The
yeah,
Koki D.
the COCOD, yeah, the compact containment device that would allow you to that would allow you to store anything inside subspace. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, something like this is very valuable,
Oh yeah.
which is why all these bad guys are coming after her. Now here's my thought process regarding Sasha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, which I'm sure. Yeah. Here's the real meat and potatoes of it, right? When I first conceived of the idea actually came from like a series of raunchy video game ads that I saw. All right. Yeah, I was like, they would never make ads like these today, I thought to myself. So then I was like, all right, let me write a story that could be advertised by such ads. Okay?
All right.
So I ended up writing Raid on the Racetrack, which is the first story in the first volume. Yeah, that yeah. I remember writing that down. I remember just writing that at first, before all the pandemic stuff hit. All right?
All right.
And so I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a bunch of stories where like a pit stop girl gets kidnapped all the time precisely you know, damsel in distress stories are not really in vogue. You're not supposed to write those. So I was like, let me just turn it up to 11, okay? So I was gonna write a series of stories, all with a similar premise. Like, she gets into some kind of trouble. She gets kidnapped by one bad guy or another, and then she has to figure out her way out. Or at least manage to get her boyfriend there, and then they fight the bad guy together. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't worry, Kiko. We will. I will definitely be putting up the spoiler warnings when we get into details.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Raven
All right.
Nevermore said most people don't know about it. Whoops. I got something popping up in front of the. I'm trying to read it, and I had a pop up kind of get in front of it there. All right.
Yeah. What?
There we go. All right. Yeah, most people don't know about it. It's about 2.5 acres. It's 8 miles from Tulsa International Airport and is equipped for rail services with BNSF. I think that was a continuation of what he was saying about Tulsa.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured it was. But anyway, that's what I was saying is that I'm going to write this damsel in distress story because that's out of vogue. That's not what you're supposed to write. So I thought, let's turn it all the way up to 11. But I also had to do something else. I had to make it so that Sasha was an otherwise ordinary woman. Sure, she had a talent, for like machines, but other than that, she was an ordinary woman. She was not she was not going to be this super being because then the premise just wouldn't work
Right.
if she was. Yeah, if she wasn't like ordinary, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But she
Yeah,
had a. I noticed she has a habit of taking the ordinary and using it for something extraordinary.
that's the point there. And the other point, and the other point here is that, and the other point I really wanted to hammer home is that she loves her boyfriend because one disturbing trend I noticed in popular entertainment now is that it seems like a lot of these female characters don't love their guys.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like they're encouraging people to belittle their own bonds.
Yeah,
As social creatures, that's not a good theme to keep pushing into the population.
yeah. So that's why you notice that she's always like enamored of her boyfriend and such because I specifically wanted to go against that entire trend. So yeah, it's like she's not gonna snark at him or things like that. Yeah, sometimes she gets into fights with him, but notice that they
Yeah.
always reconcile.
Yep. Yeah, she wasn't a pushover, but she wasn't nasty to him either.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that's what I really want to hammer home with the character. Yeah, with the character of Sasha. She was it's that she's meant to be she's meant to be this person who's constantly getting into trouble. But also here's another thing too. You know what I did as preparation before writing the rest of the stories after
What
Raid on the Racetrack?
what's that?
I I actually listened to a bunch of Conan stories, oddly enough. Why Conan, of all
That's what I'm
things?
wondering.
It's because Conan, like Superman, like Goku, like James Bond, is a flat character. Now this is another important concept here. Of course, you're familiar with the hero's journey, right?
Correct.
Basically how Star Wars goes.
Right.
Yeah, notice that that's a very popular template for telling stories. You start with someone who's kind of like low down, and then they get the call to adventure, but they refuse the call because they want to stay comfortable. But then they're forced out, and they have to make themselves great. Now, that's a great format to use for a coming of age story, and I do use it in one of my other novels, Shining Tomorrow. All right?
All right.
Yeah, that one does. Yeah, that one uses a hero's journey, but this one, I did not want to use the hero's journey. Instead, I listened to all those Conan stories because I wanted to see how a character with a flat arc is written. And what you find with a character with a flat arc is that while they don't change, they change the people around them. Yeah, it's like it's like, they try to stay true to themselves in the midst of all the things trying to change and jostle them.
But I have also noticed she's not without growth entirely.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true because people learn things as they go on. I mean, you have to remember Goku was the same way. He didn't just he didn't stay the same as he was when he first arrived on Earth. He grew, he learned things, but yeah, so in Sasha's case, she's not without, she does end up learning things, getting wise to things as time goes on. But fundamentally, she remains who she is. This is not about her becoming something. This is not an origin story. She is who she is already. She's, you get what I'm saying?
Kiko asks, "Why did you call her Sasha?" Just curious.
I honestly just wanted to come up with an ordinary sounding name,
Gotcha.
a name that was utterly unremarkable for a woman to have.
And Raven Nevermore says Conan is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Draco Nightmare says, "Rawle, are we getting another? Are we getting another sword and flower book?"
That's an interesting question. I have some ideas of how to go on with that, but my next book is actually not likely to be that particular one. Yeah, it's something else. It's something else entirely that we'll discuss after the spoilers.
Alrighty. And
Yeah, yeah, but
Raven Nevermore said, "I need to pick this up then. Uh, El, Des- El Donce is constantly getting in trouble, but she's super scientist, super athletic. Parts are boring."
huh? What's he referring to?
I'm not sure. What's Raven? What is El Donce? If I'm even pronouncing it right.
Put it in the comments so that yeah
Okay, Maji Chan says hi, and
yeah it's like what's boring because I can guarantee you that that Sasha is for the most part on the back foot most of the time, as I'm sure um, frequency has seen.
all right, so let's talk about Reg.
Ah, yes, Reg. His full name is Morden Reggie, and he's like the main driver for the Dark Saturn racing team. At first, you notice that he was a little unsure of himself, but
Hmm.
but as the story goes on, he becomes like a tough, violent dude. He's again, this is somebody who's not afraid to just like go to town on somebody who wronged him.
Right.
I want to write a boyfriend for Sasha who, again, there seems to be a tendency to make like male characters, especially around like their girlfriends or wives or something, kind of doofuses. And again, I wanted to go against that by making him this, by making him like this tough guy who's sure of himself. And of course you'll notice the pit crew is always nearby to back him up.
Yes, the team actually operates as a team when things get heated.
Oh yeah, it's like I also wanted to show how kind of times had changed in that with GoFar, the Global Organization for Auto Racing, they would tolerate a racing team getting into a dust up with somebody and having to shoot guns at them. you know, they would tolerate, they would tolerate it if, somebody had to take care of business by getting violent. They wouldn't lose their heads over it. If if something
Yeah.
dangerous is happening and they decide we're gonna go, no, we're gonna go protect somebody we care about, they can do that.
And yeah, I like how like even not just the pit crew, but even the other pit girls would show up and help.
Well,
Like
yeah.
they all when one of them was in trouble, they all showed up.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
provided they could. Some situations they just couldn't. But
Yeah, and in fact, with one of them, in the very first story in Volume 2, you see the aftermath. I actually follow up on Kimberly Faber.
ah,
Yeah, because again, you kind of notice what happened to her.
yeah. Well, we'll discuss that a little more in the spoiler section.
Awesome, awesome. But and finally, and here's a character. Yeah, here's another character I have to discuss because she's part of the main trio, Delia Onager.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, you see, Delia is, of course, the daughter of the owner. Yeah, the daughter of the Dark Saturn team's owner. All right.
Hmm.
She's very close with the team. In fact, she's very close with the team and is often very supportive of them. But she's also this, by the book, law and order type of girl.
Right.
Yeah, she insists that things be done kind of like according to the rules.
And that tied her hands a couple of times.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And I mean that's her main thing. Again, there's so much stuff in Volume 2 you gotta see.
I will be getting to it.
Because all three of the characters get like some major things happening to them. All three of those characters I just mentioned, Sasha, Reg, and Delia, have like some major stuff happening to them.
Yeah, and the more we're talking, the more I wish I'd gotten to volume 2 before this, but I see what you mean now. When you were saying, but when I get to it, we'll do this again, and we can go really in depth on that.
Oh, for
Uh,
sure. I might have Volume 3 written by then.
what other characters do you want to discuss before we start diving into spoiler territory?
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about Kit, yeah, you see, the thing about Kit is that he's like Reg's priest. And also Delia's priest, because the team all go to the same church.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he's like, the person and Kit is the person they would confess their sins to. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to give a quick physical description for those listening
Oh, okay. Of each character?
of Kit?
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's like a fox. Yeah, okay. He looks like a fox, right? Like again. Okay, imagine what a grown-up version of Tails would look like, except with just one tail, and wearing like, but more built, and wearing like a priest habit. Again, he's a fox. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
for those Star Fox fans, Fox McCloud. But yeah, imagine like a tall Fox McCloud in a priest habit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what Kit would look like.
And if I remember correctly, he has a Japanese accent, right?
Yes, he does, because he's from Japan. Yeah, so you have this fox with a Japanese accent telling you that Christ loves you. Yeah, you see, the thing about Kit is that you see his conversion was kind of him converting to Christianity like 150 or so years ago was kind of a big deal, and that's the reason why so many mutants are Christian in the story.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because a lot of those mutants decided to convert too after he converted. So that's how Christianity became a norm among even the mutants. Yeah.
Okay, Raven Nevermore said, El Donce, if I'm saying that correctly, is a book series by Lawrence Donners, currently 16 books.
I haven't heard of that rather mammoth series.
Neither have I.
Yeah, maybe it's for a good reason, but I don't know.
And
Yeah.
Raven Nevermore said, "Oh, Perils of Sasha Reed is available on Kindle Unlimited."
Yes,
So,
it
yeah,
is.
for those of you with Kindles, check that out.
Yes, but yeah, you get yeah. Just read and review it. That's all I ask. Yeah.
Okay, anything else you want to cover before spoilers?
Huh. Huh. Yeah. Well, nothing really because I want to get to the interesting part.
All right, let me just put up that warning.
All right.
And boom. Okay, let's do it. Let's dive into details. So spoilers are starting now. All right, Kiko. We'll see you later.
Yeah. All right. Spoilers are starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's rock. All right. So the where do you want to start? Probably with the first
Yeah,
story.
yes, with the very first story.
All right. It started off with her in the pits. Uh, so the first adversary she had to deal with was Gear Witch, if I'm remembering,
Which gear, but close.
or Witch
Yeah.
Gear, Witch Gear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you see witch gear is a witch that's able to control machines, as you can see.
Hmm.
And it's real, and I'm really kicking myself so hard right now because I didn't mean to put her out of commission that early, that early.
I
Because
was
again,
actually kind of expecting her to come back later on, but
well, you see, but you see, I was smart about it. Notice that I wrote it in such a way that she can come back.
hmm.
And from the beginning, I was always planning to bring her back. I just hadn't thought of how I'd do it yet. So she will be back.
Cool.
But still, I'm kind of kicking myself because it's like I really should have used her more. Yeah, it's like I should have used her more than I did. Because again, it's like I've had more time to develop her because I guess it's because when I was writing it, I just had to think of an adversary, to get walloped at the end of the story.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really considered that, because by this point I had not even necessarily considered that I was going to be writing this like as like a series.
Hmm.
I was just kind of experimenting with that first one.
And you just never knew it was going to take off as much as it did, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually kind of regret not doing more with her.
Now,
Yeah, that's
was she also related to much of what happened later with down by the church and everything, or was that a completely separate thing all on her own? Is she tied to what happens later at all, or is that just her independently?
well, what you saw in that story was her independently, but I would say that she has only like the smallest and loosest connection to that group. But it's not, yeah, but they're not really tight or anything. Again, a lot of backstory stuff.
And this is where Sasha did not believe in magic or the supernatural at all. Figured there was a technological explanation for all the strangeness going on.
Oh yes, that's what she thinks. up until like the fifth story.
Yeah, you reach a point where it's like, okay, now I can't deny this.
Yeah. Yeah, she thought there was a yeah, it's like, she that was another thing too. It's that she was, I have her thinking there's a scientific explanation for everything.
Yeah, she now her control over machines. Clearly, she had some supernatural talents going on, but is she also just a flat out technopath?
Well, yeah, that's how I thought of her as a technopath. That's not Witch Gear, I mean. Yeah, that's how I thought of Witch Gear as a technopath. But yeah, Sasha is not one. She's just good with machines.
Yeah, if she hadn't even invented the successfully anyway the Kokadi, she was in the theoretical trying to figure it out phase, and
Yeah,
that's why she got snagged by her, right?
yeah, it's that she had shown it on like a video, but she hadn't built it. She hadn't actually built a working one yet. And so Witchgear expected Sasha to build one for her. Yeah, to build one for her, but Sasha hadn't figured it out yet. But then, of course, she does figure it out in the second story,
Right.
and in fact shows it to Reg that she finally got it.
Yeah. Now, how much I can't remember exactly how much that it can hold so much up to a certain point, and then after that it starts adding weight to the carrier. I believe is that right?
Not quite. It's that I don't really specify. I don't really specify the exact capacity. Yeah, I just say that it holds a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But you made it very clear that it was limited.
Yes, it is limited. I just didn't specify exactly what the capacity was because I felt it wasn't really that important to give an exact number as yet. Because she wasn't at the point where she would need to store it to capacity.
Yeah. Although it was kind of cool, you almost pull weapons out of hammer space like Stewie Griffin.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I need to tell you about. The one thing I'm sure you've noticed is the ubiquity of deflectors.
Yes.
Yeah,
Deflectors are quite often used, and quite frankly, I don't know how someone can survive in this world without one.
that's the point. That's why they're as common as cell phones are here in the here and now. Yeah, that everyone has them, and you see in story. Here's what it was. You see, people need it. Deflectors are to defense what handguns were to offense.
Uh,
A quantum leap.
yeah.
So yeah, as a result of the deflector, like think of all of the guns you know about now, right? Think of all of the firearms you know about now.
Hmm.
Those don't stand a chance against these deflectors in this story. As a result, the firearm technology had to improve. So you saw a shift from gunpowder weapons to magnetically accelerated weapons. You know, yeah.
Pretty much
So
miniature railguns, pretty much.
that's the best way to describe them. And as a result, you have these weapons that shoot projectiles at like 5 kilometers a second, which is very powerful.
Hmm.
Which is also why the deflectors provide hearing protection. Otherwise, everyone would be deaf.
From like sonic booms.
Yes.
Probably not the bang of it going off, just from the air
Yeah.
stacking back together.
Oh yeah. 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 And also, but then there's also a side effect of that, which is that automatic fire is no longer feasible because even though materials have been made to withstand these new muzzle velocities, if
Yeah.
you try to shoot automatic fire through them, they melt. Like they melt the barrel. So everything's back down to semi-automatic fire. Yeah, but you see, Sasha's invention changes that. because now you can make a barrel of arbitrary size that can magnetically accelerate a round that's smaller than the barrel. So now it won't put as much wear and tear on the barrel, thus allowing man-portable automatic fire to make a comeback.
And people thought they wanted her for her good looks.
Yeah, it's not just her good looks they want her for. She has something that could revolutionize. She has something that could revolutionize the entire balance of power.
Yeah, and she's just barely beginning to tap into that by the end of the first book, is because as inventive as she is, her tech, her revolutionary tech, is like in its infant stage still.
Oh, for sure, and she's 100% aware of the potential of it, which is why she's not in a rush to patent it, because she knows exactly what it could be used for. It's not just a convenient means of hammer space. That's you know again, that something like that, just again, something like that would be like, if it existed in our world here and now, would indeed be revolutionary.
Yeah, I mean, you can
And
practically carry a vehicle in your pocket.
yeah, or a nuclear weapon.
That's a scary thought.
Exactly, and that's why Sasha hasn't patented it.
All right, so let's go on to book 2,
You
or
mean,
part 2.
yeah, mutant country, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, what do you want to know about that one?
Well, it was let's see. It started off, they were filming a commercial, and a mutant was playing the bad guy for an upcoming race, and then
Yeah,
that kind of, I guess the best way to describe that is it put a lot of folks in mutant country into a bit of a Twitter rage because they felt it was offensive.
yeah, of course. Yeah, because she was, the mutant was playing like the scary monster menacing the girl. Yeah, so of course they'd find that a bit offensive.
And that's the first time we saw the Terran Defense Force going, we need to stay out of that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. Well, I mean in mutant country, the UTDF actually makes a very prominent appearance. This is where you first see them in combat. I mean, yeah, they make an appearance in the first story, but they don't really do much. But in this one, this is where you finally see them in action.
Right. But I think they had a little bit of legal problem doing that because they needed a good enough reason to cross a boundary.
Yeah, yeah. Although legal problems have more to do with the third story than the second. Yeah, because in the second one, I think the Jefferson City government did request that the UTDF come down.
Okay, so I might be mixing them up here.
Yeah, you are. Because again, the UTDF is very prominent in the second story. Now, you see, here's the thing: the bad guy in the second story, I'm sure you've noticed, is the Superhumanist League. You
Right.
see, here's their idea. They want to. Okay, all right. They want to cure evil by rewriting all of humanity's genetic code.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that since we have the technology to rewrite humanity's genetic code, why don't we rewrite it so that injustice is no longer possible? Now, you can see why people would object to such a thing.
Yeah, that would screw with free will.
Exactly. They would, yeah, it's that, they just want to rewrite everybody to obey them in all things.
Yeah.
And of
That
course,
doesn't fly with sentient beings too much.
but they don't care about that. They don't care about that. They want to fix the world and fix all injustice through that. So that's why they're attacking these other mutants who don't want that. Yeah, who don't want that, and that's why they're going after people like Sasha, whom they feel that regular humans, are the ones who need to be changed the most. And I go more into this way of thinking again in volume 2, but volume 1 has plenty there. Has plenty there. Mutants who don't want to go along with it, of course, are attacked because in mutant country, as I said, government is very weak. So you tend to have these warlords attacking each other. And that's why they called in the UTDF to deal with the superhumanists in particular. That whole thing that whole thing is just because I just hate the sight of seeing like people just get bullied all the time, like trying to browbeat them to say obey me or else, to save the world. It's like I hate that mindset. So I put that into the Superhumanist League.
Yeah. And that's where the Kokidi really came in handy for carrying some equipment.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. And also where you see a bit of the corruption inside the UTDF itself, because you have to remember, it wasn't just a monster. It wasn't just a mutant who kidnapped her. There was also that one officer.
Okay. Again, I was mixing it up because I thought that was the third story.
No, that's the second. Yeah, it's like, so that, and you notice the name of the mutant village. It's Lynn Connie. If that sounds familiar, yes, it's named after Abraham Lincoln.
Gotcha.
In story too. Yeah, in story too.
Now, the third story, that was Mechanized City, or was that the fourth?
No, it's the third. It's called The Old Homeland, and it's the one about the mechanized Atlantic. Yeah, what you have is what you have is that her dad is on the back foot now in the mechanized Atlantic, because you see that whole place is run as a kind of game where you have to gather as much resources as possible and then have your robots make stuff for you while you defend your resource stores. It's like, think of it as like StarCraft but live.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of it as almost like a captive populace constantly being forced into tournaments for the overlord's entertainment.
It's not quite like that, but what happens is that the combat jubilees happen to ensure that one person doesn't get too strong.
Now, if I remember correctly, her adoptive father bit off more than he could chew, challenging somebody else, and
yes, he did.
That's why she returned, or
no, you remember Sasha. No, that's why they wanted to get him out of there. But right. Delia wasn't. But Delia wasn't. Said that I can't do that because that's against the law for me to do. You can't just get Delia out. But then they're like, but then Sasha realized Delia does want to help, but she also doesn't want to violate her military oath. So then that's when they hit upon the idea of using KIT, because the only other big organization that could do something like that is the church.
Right.
So they're like, okay, I'll just have the church take responsibility for it all.
Because the way the laws are written, they actually could have some pull there where nobody else could.
Yeah. So that's the idea they went with. But then of course the Kokudi technology, some people got wind of it, or rather Dr. Albig and Korik got wind of it and had Sasha kidnapped.
Again.
Yeah. And that's where you learn about this idea known as the truth of this world. Now the truth of this world is meant as basically my critique of, it's basically my critique of AI You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is like, all right, once the robots do everything for you better and cheaper, human life then ends up having negative value. All right, from no, let me correct that. From a strictly materialistic perspective, if the robots do everything better, cheaper, and faster, human life ends up having negative value because humans consume resources. Therefore, it becomes okay to hurt other humans from a materialistic standpoint. Now, the obvious way to negate that is through religion. But if you're not looking at it from a religious standpoint, how do you challenge that? How do you challenge that idea?
Yeah, it kind of requires a moral compass to do so. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, how is it exactly the church has pull in the mechanized Atlantic when many
Well,
mechanized people don't seem to follow the church?
I mean, in the world state, in like the world state. I mean, just as a whole.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's.
that I was a little lost on. So thanks for the
I thought
clarification there.
I thought I had made it clear that yeah, you bring somebody over, but the church has to take care of the person they just brought over. They can't
Right.
just fob it off. They can't just fob it off on, say, Grand Carolina's government, for example.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
I was
that's
I was
it.
trying to think of how the church had pull with the mechanized Atlantic. I was getting that a little backwards.
Yeah, yeah. I should have made that clearer, but good.
You may have. I've read a lot of books in for me a short period of time, so it's a lot of
Okay.
information rattling around up here.
That's what I do with that one. I want it, and now the reason I wrote that particular, you see, here's the thing though, that whole setup was actually inspired by a particular book that I read a while back. Like by a
Which
while
book?
back, I read this, I think, back when I was in high school, actually. A book called Manna by Marshall Brain. Yeah, by a guy who calls himself Marshall Brain. Don't know if that's his actual name, but yeah. You see, he describes a future in which, of course, as I told you, robots do everything,
Hmm.
but of course, he portrays the mega corporate dystopia where everyone is unemployed and living in like housing projects and just suffering
Yeah,
versus a utopia in Australia in which in which the robots give you everything you want, everything you could possibly want. Now, my answer to that was, all right, if the robots give you everything you could possibly want, all right, then yeah, it's like, yeah, what
then
does that
what's
say
left to
about,
want?
no, or rather, what does that, and of course, you approach it from a materialist perspective, as a lot of these sorts tend to do. you know, all right, then what actually is the value of human life if if you don't believe that, man has an inherent dignity? If you don't, again, if you view everything just from a purely materialist perspective, like, if another human can do nothing for you, in fact, is negative value because they consume, what then? Like, what happens to your norms if it's just based purely on utilitarianism and the like?
They can become skewed very quickly.
Yeah, it's like then there'd almost be no reason for them. Yes, you may have grown up with earlier norms that valued human life, but what about the people after you?
Each
Who
generation it chips away a bit more.
exactly because they see that the material conditions are different, and that's and that and the mechanized Atlantic was pretty much my answer to that.
I see.
My answer to that idea, and also and more broadly that world where AI isn't doing everything because it's kind of a taboo. because they see it the way we would see eugenics now, for example.
Yeah. And this is where Kit has his first major role, I believe, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's where Kit first appears.
I'm glad you kept him around. He quickly became one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I have another reader who really likes him too.
And how often do you see a priest with a sword on his hip?
Not often. Not often, but he takes it. Yeah, but as you can see, he's very devoted to the Lord. And the fourth story now, Bloody-Handed Warlord, where they're going on pilgrimage. You see, this one I think is special because,
To former Texas, right?
yeah, to the kingdom of El Norte, to rather the North American kingdom, which is also called El Norte.
And
Yeah,
that's where Reg kind of blew a bit of a fit about that one.
yeah, because again, even in the present day of the story, the people of Grand Carolina really do believe that Texas should be in Grand Carolina. It shouldn't be in that kingdom. But the problem is, you see, Texas is where the kingdom's capital is. So yeah, and the people inside Texas itself are loyal to the king.
And so, no matter which way you slice it, Grand Carolina has to go. Well, the people who live there are the people who live there. So,
Yeah, even though they really, really do believe that Texas should be in there, that Texas should be in there, and there's even a bit of a terminology argument because the people who live there now call it Tejas, but the people in Grand Carolina call it Texas. All right.
and people get heated over which term you use.
Yes, yes, it's that yeah, it's that Texas. They believe Texas belongs to Grand Carolina. But the other important thing here is that you notice that this is the first time Sasha has to encounter Reg's religious convictions.
Right. Which he kind of started clinging more to than before,
Yeah, and
much
yeah,
to her chagrin.
yes, very much so. It's like it just drove her crazy. Because the only reason she even went on this pilgrimage was just to be with Red, even though she did not believe. So of course, obviously, she couldn't receive communion or anything like that. She just wanted to be with Red,
Right.
and Kit just kind of let it happen.
Yeah,
And then
she was not happy about having to dress modest.
oh yeah, she is never happy about having to dress modest. Yeah, it's like and it perturbed her, but of course you notice that her dressing modest actually gave her the ability to deal with Blood Eagle by
Yeah,
posing.
what a psycho.
Oh yeah, by posing as a pious woman. He's like, yeah, I get to corrupt this girl.
Yeah, she used that to her advantage quite well.
Oh yeah, and then there's
Although that must have scarred her what she had to watch happen before
oh
she was
yeah,
able to fully take advantage and take the win.
oh yeah. It's like it's that she was told to kill a baby, but then she refused to do it. So then Blood Eagle did it himself to show her that your refusal means nothing. Again, it was just to show her that I have all the power. So he then just disembowels a baby in front of her, and
Yeah.
then they
And,
make and
and then the big boss shows up a little bit later.
yeah, while they're fighting the king. while they're fighting the king, of course, and then when he presents Moloch, no, when Moloch present no, when Blood Eagle presents Sasha to Moloch, all right, yeah, then the truth comes out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like, why did you deceive me? You should, ensure the integrity of your sacrifices.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
would definitely call Moloch a grade A douchebag. But
yeah, yeah, it's like they summoned Moloch only to give him, and that's why he got so mad that he just said, you know what, screw you all. That's why he left, because you presented him with a sacrifice that you lied to him, you lied to your god about a sacrifice.
yeah, she's supposed to be pure. It's not my job to praise the sacrifice. That's yours.
Yeah, yeah. So he just left, and that's why he was pretty much cornered. That's why Blood Eagle was pretty much cornered, and they were able to take him down. Though he did escape.
Yeah, I do like how they took him down when they figured out. Even though it was a supernatural ability, they kind of used logic and reason to figure out how to screw him up on his phasing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then they get him that way.
We have a
And
very spoilery question from J.D. Cohen.
all right,
Will Blood Eagle return?
I am planning on it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing about Blood Eagle, you see, the thing about Blood Eagle and about that whole story is, I wrote that thing before the Roe decision went down. So yeah, so reading it again in light of the repeal of Roe v. Wade, again, sometimes it may hit kind of different.
Yeah, because I mean, there is a lot of weird things happening in the real world. I mean, a certain little Caribbean island turned out to be real. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
nasty stuff going on out there.
yeah, for sure. But now, speaking of weird stuff, we can now get to the final story, the fifth story.
Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah, you see with that one, I believe that they were going on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were going on vacation, especially after what had happened. And yeah, and then you see the Kahuna there. I believe her name was Jill Packard. Decided that she needed a force to fight off something similar to what had happened in El Norte. But really the goal was to actually challenge the UTDF using an army of ghosts.
This is where Sasha really could no longer deny the supernatural.
Indeed, she
I guess
cannot
be,
deny.
I guess being smacked out of your own body will do that to you.
Yes. Oh, you say yeah, and then yeah, and then she encounters a World War II serviceman who was also brought back, named James Garfield Middleton. Yeah,
Was,
that name.
was that
Yeah.
based on anybody?
No, I just made up a name that sounded like someone from the 1940s would have.
Oh, you nailed it because I was sitting there reading that. I'm like, was that a real person he's basing
Uh,
this on? This
oh
why does it
no.
sound familiar?
Oh no, I just figured that's how people named their kids then. So yeah, yeah. So, and of course he had heard that the United States was long gone and everything, and saw that his comrades were also brought back, but many of them had went to hell. So yeah,
So they were
yeah,
happy to be there and doing this stuff.
yeah. Or rather, they were just kind of doing whatever the witch told them, because again, they were they were like damned spirits. So and then Yeah, and then of course you saw that Packard up the ante by bringing back an entire Japanese ship.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, their deflectors were kind of useless against the arms they were using.
Yeah, because it was spectral in origin.
Hmm.
Since it didn't affect the physical body, it affected the spirit. So that's also why they needed holy water from Kit. Or no, I don't think it was from Kit in particular. I think they got a local priest to do it. Yeah, they got a different. It wasn't Kit. It was a local priest. My bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do believe any priest would be able to handle
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but notice how I wrote the battle in the air with Dark Saturn. Notice that they were flying planes with which had technology they were unfamiliar with.
Yeah,
So oh
it's like obsolete to their understanding, pretty much.
yes, oh yeah, it's like they wouldn't know the first thing about piloting that kind of a plane. Piloting that kind of a plane. So only James Garfield Middleton could really do anything. Because notice that Sasha was completely bungling it, for example.
Yeah, they all were, even Reg,
Oh, for sure.
and he's a driver.
Yeah, they had no idea how to fly that kind of plane.
That they
So,
can kind of steer it, but
yeah, so they were of course getting destroyed by all these Japanese pilots. But you notice that the UTDF had a lot of trouble too, because
Mhm.
so many of them didn't believe in God, so they were pretty easy to blow away with the spectral bullets.
uh, thankfully, Sasha's a quick learner, and she learned
Yeah,
not how to pilot, but
yeah. Yeah, in fact, she had to inhabit a UTDF member's body quickly to deal with Packard.
since they were in a mech, she was like, "Oh yes, something I know how to steer."
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's like, and then you notice that ending there, where it's actually where she meets Middleton again in the hospital,
Hmm.
and then he says, "That's my name." And I intentionally left it ambiguous as to whether that was the same person or just somebody who happened to have the same name.
I was thinking my best speculation was he was a descendant.
I'm not saying anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave that ambiguous as to whether it's him or whether it's a descendant or what have
All right.
you. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's that. Overall, yeah, it's like this one. I like. Yeah, again, it's like. But notice how I structured the stories. I didn't write them like as one continuous narrative, but each one was its own thing with a beginning, middle, and end.
Right. Yet you maintained a continuity and they kind of built off of each other.
Yeah, that's the point. That was the point there. I wanted it to be episodic because my goal here was to kind of revive the short story, and I figured I could do that by disguising it as a novel.
All right. So I'm looking at the book blurb for volume 2.
All right.
Sasha Reed fears what her compact containment device, or COCOD, could do. It's so powerful that it could make world-ending weapons the size of smartphones. The worst scum on Earth will stop at nothing to get one for themselves, and that means Sasha's their number one target. Can she escape their clutches, or is the planet itself doomed to destruction by her own invention? Well, I know what I'm going to be diving into in the next couple of weeks here.
And you really should because again, it contains a lot of character development, especially for Sasha, Reg, and Dealey.
Now, something I've been wanting to ask,
Yeah.
and now that I see the face on the front here, I noticed it's the United Terran Defense Force. Terran. Does that mean that we do have extraterrestrials in this world?
About that. Well, yeah, okay, United Terran Defense Force. It just means that it's like, it's like the military force for a unified Earth. But but in this world, I'm not gonna say whether there are extraterrestrials, but I will say that there is a colony on Venus.
Venus. What? I'm gonna guess atmospheric colony. Like
No,
not on
no,
the surface.
Venus was terraformed.
That must have been one heck of a task.
It took centuries, and I don't even necessarily go into the details in volume 2. I just want to say this here, all right? It
All
took
right.
centuries. It took centuries to happen, but it was snatched from under them.
Ah,
I'll probably go into the details in a future story.
gotcha.
Yeah,
So,
but it was
so this guy on the cover is most likely one of the mutants.
yes. In fact, that's Stasso Lutefisk, who was the person that kidnapped her back in Volume 1.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, remember how a mutant snatched, confronted Reg in the mutant country story just as she left the race?
Yes.
Yeah, that was him.
Gotcha. Uh, I don't know why, but whoops. Oh, wrong button.
All right.
Did it again. It like loads that thing right. It's gonna pop. Okay. There we go.
All right.
The the face mask on him, just that that happy nonchalant smile he's carrying her away just cracks me up.
I'm glad that it does. Yeah, I just wanted to give Witchgear's henchman just kind of a silly appearance, because again, I was just thinking, a supervillain that has some goofy henchmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, some of the
yeah,
henchmen were not so goofy. For example, Jill's maid. I even see her as less of a henchman and maybe more of what we're in spoiler territory. I'm trying to remember. Was she actually higher up than Jill, even though she was playing the maid?
no, she was basically serving Jill.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I
yeah,
I was
yeah,
suspecting her to be more than that. Like
but
maybe she
yeah,
was pulling Jill's strings covertly.
no, Jill was the one in charge. Tiffany was just serving Jill. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Oh, you know what? I just realized I didn't have the screen share on the whole time I was sitting there bringing up the pictures.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was sitting here expanding pictures over here like this, and I didn't
yeah,
have the screen share on, so you probably just saw me putting my fingers all over the screen for nothing.
I like that design. And of course, there's the Volume 2 cover, and of course that fishman carrying her is Stasso Lutefisk. Yeah, and it's that. Yeah, it's again. You really, really, really need to read Volume 2,
Oh, I plan
because
to.
and as I had said backstage, all right. Now, I told you that I'd written this novel called Shining Tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah, if you go to my author page, if you click my author name right there, you should be able to find it. Yeah, if you click like Rawle Nyanzi, you should be able to find it right there. Yeah, all right, scroll down, Sword and Flower. Volume 2, and Shining Tomorrow. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, you see this one. You see this. All right. Now that one was something I wanted to expand into a series, but I just could not figure out how to follow it up. That book you see there tells a complete story. So if you were to read it, you will get a story from beginning to end. All
Okay.
right? Yeah. But it's just that, I just couldn't figure out how to follow it up. Now, if you want me to talk about this one a bit, is that fine?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Shining Tomorrow, it's about a world where it's about a world where the Germans win World War One, and the long-term effect of that is that the Japanese Empire ends up controlling most of the U.S.
Almost like a mirror universe type of scenario.
Yeah. Now, mind you, like around like the 2010s, so basically around no, not so much around this time, but basically from the period of about 2015 to 2020, like Japan and Germany end up fighting this massive war for control of North America, and the Germans end up losing. Although they do get a swatch of it kind of in the middle of the country between the Rockies, between the Rockies, the Oklahoma River, and the Mississippi River.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whereas both coasts end up belonging to Japan, as do Texas and Louisiana, to link the two.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so, so by the time the story starts, like this situation is well established. The main character, Irma Kaneyasu, is this Japanese American girl who is in this humanitarian organization called the Young Elegant Ladies of the West, or Yellow. They are like the country's they're the country's main humanitarian organization. Okay, think of like the Salvation Army, but like way more well respected.
Gotcha.
And they're known mostly for helping the homeless and teaching in the elementary schools. That's K through 2 in particular. They figure that it's safe for high school kids to teach little kids.
Um.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, you also have to remember that the culture is quite different too, because if you have a culture that basically lived on and off under fascist rule for a long time, like certain things just aren't going to fly that fly here.
Right.
So the culture is a lot more conservative, a lot more strict. Of course, some people
So
don't
so
want.
they'll tend to mature a little quicker.
Oh yeah, especially
Okay. Yeah, in that scenario, I could see teenagers being.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's like again the culture. Yeah, again the culture is not like our culture here. And you see that becomes a problem because here's the thing about Irma. She wants to be seen as she sees herself as kind of like she wants to see herself as a good exemplar of this culture because
Got it.
she wants to get married in her 20s and have a bunch of kids and you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
have a good just be what a proper young lady should be. However, this person from like this huge defense contractor. Okay, this guy named Masaharu Inoue, also called Tuxedo Tommy Gun because he often wears a tuxedo and carries a Tommy gun.
Hmm.
Yeah, decides to kidnap her best friend because Irma's friend Pixie, government name Virginia Shirer. They call her Pixie because she wears her hair short and she's kind of petite. Pixie ends up getting kidnapped by this defense contractor guy because he's aware that she has special powers. All right.
Okay.
Now, Irma is at first reluctant to actually like go after her because again, Irma's not like Sasha or Red. She really does believe that I shouldn't get involved in any violence.
Yeah.
I really like I shouldn't. I like no. This is like no. She literally believes violence is men's work, basically. You
Gotcha.
know, and then and then her mother, who is also superpowered, again tries to give her something that could help, but again, Irma doesn't want to use it because I'm not, she's not supposed to use it. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. In her mind, this is like it's just wrong.
Yeah, it's just wrong. You don't use that. I mean, then and then so she asked for some help then she asked for some help from some local witches. Yeah. It's just so she can see what's going on inside that base, inside a military base. All right.
Hmm.
So she asked for protection to the military base, and then to her shock, she sees her teacher getting tortured. And then this makes her snap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I was like,
That would be disturbing to see.
yeah, and in fact, not only was her teacher being tortured, her friend was being forced to participate in the torture. So that just made her just snap and it's like, all right, I'm going to take care of them. Yeah, so it's about her fighting off this defense contractor using her giant robot and such. Yeah, I mean, a bit of a long winded explanation, but that's really the best way I could explain it.
All right. And you are considering doing a follow up to this, right?
Oh yeah, it's like for a long time I could not follow the story up because I just couldn't think of a good way to continue it. But I will say right here that I have thought of a good way to continue it. Those of you who look at my Twitter, you see me posting about the novel of the squared circle or something like that. Well, I'll announce it right here that it's a follow up to Shining Tomorrow. However, however, I will change some details, especially about some of the characters, and it will be set about 100 years after the fact. And it
So
will be
are you
set.
working on that now, or is that an upcoming project?
I'm working on that one now, and also this one, also this follow up to Shining Tomorrow will primarily be about pro wrestling.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
And you have one more in here we have not talked about yet. It was brought up in the chat once. Sword
yeah.
and Flower.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was yeah. You see that one? Yeah, that one was when I first started learning about Appendix N and about the pulps for the first time. I decided that hey, I can give this a shot. Let me write something like one of those. All right. Yeah, this one is about like a pop star from Japan, you know, ends up, ends up in like purgatory basically, alongside some Puritans. Yeah, alongside some Puritans, and has to help them fight off a demon. But the problem is she has special powers, and you know how Puritans feel about special powers.
Witchcraft.
Pretty much, yeah. The only reason she doesn't get hanged is because one of the guys thought she was cute.
Well, that does help in awkward social situations, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'd gotten the idea for the story because one, I had read this book called Albion's Seed, talking about early American history. All right, and I just got done reading the section about the Puritans, but then I listened to like this J-pop song, specifically the ending song to this one anime called The Heroic Legend of Arslan.
Yeah.
And then I was like, let me combine this with that. So then Sword and Flower was the result.
Yeah, sometimes you get the most interesting storylines when you combine two different topics that typically don't have anything to do with each other, and then you find out, wow, these mesh nicely.
Yeah, and here's something else I found out just like after the fact, after I had published it. I found that I basically inverted the whole white savior thing. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with a common progressive complaint about white saviors, right? All right. Yeah. All right. You there?
Oh, sorry, I had the button pushed on my headset. I said right.
Yeah. Yeah. I was okay. I was okay. Okay. You're aware of the common progressive complaint about white saviors, right?
Right.
Now you see. Now you see, white saviors are when you have a man, typically a white man, comes into like comes into like a spirit into like a non-white spiritual but primitive culture, and
Mm-hmm.
then he comes and saves them. They're suspicious of him at first, but then he proves their worth. He proves his worth to them, and then saves them from somebody else who's also from his own culture, right?
Kind of like Dances with Wolves or Avatar or
Yeah, yeah,
Fern
like
Gully
that.
even.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, something like that. You're familiar with so you're familiar with the concept. Now you see what I had done actually, and I wasn't even really trying to do I wasn't really didn't really have this in mind, but I found that I'd done it was I kind of inverted it. Instead of a white man, I have an Asian woman, right?
Hmm. By the way,
And
looking at the cover, is she hydrokinetic?
no, that's like a key blast like you'd find in Dragon Ball.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Anyhow. Now you see, of course, instead of a white man, you have an Asian woman, right?
Right.
Instead, yeah, the spiritual primitives in this case are the New England Puritans. All right?
Okay.
Yeah. And yes, she even ends up saving them from somebody from her own culture who's trying to hurt them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so all the elements of a white savior narrative are there, but I inverted them. But the thing is, I wasn't even thinking I want to invert the white savior narrative. It just kind of happened, you know?
Yeah. I mean, almost like a New England Shanghai Noon.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that movie way back.
Yeah. Although I don't think he was saving them specifically from. He teamed up. Jackie Chan teamed up with Owen Wilson, but I don't think he was saving them from a Chinese invasion.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But
I don't think.
it was neat, a bit of a fish out of water with like a strict religious overtones happening. That could get pretty interesting pretty quick.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, and that's what I was. Yeah, and yeah, my main goal here was to imitate the kinds of stories I was reading about in Appendix N. Now it's a little rough around the edges, but I mean the people who read it seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, which was your first publish? Was it
Yeah, it was Sword and Flower. Of that list, it was Sword and Flower. Then Shining Tomorrow. Then the two Sasha Reed books.
So that's four you got out so far, and
Yeah,
you're working on your fifth now, which is
yeah,
the follow up
for
to.
Shining Tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
and
want to put
and
that
this
back up
and
once more?
yeah, and as I said, you don't need to have read Shining Tomorrow for it to make sense, mind you, because I know it's been a long time. So I'm not going to expect you to read Shining Tomorrow for this to make sense. But it'll be set 100 years after the fact, and it will, yeah, and it will heavily feature pro wrestling.
Will it have the subtitle Volume 2 Shadowheart?
No, it will not.
But it's
It will
just
not have.
set in the same continuity.
Yeah, it'll be set in the same continuity, although I will contradict that book somewhat in some places. Though I will contradict that book in some places, it's in
Understood?
the it's the same general setting. It's basically the same general setting, just 100 years later. So even more will have changed.
Yeah. So same universe, new story.
Yeah. Oh, yes, very much. Yeah, very much so. And that's what I'm doing there. Well, yeah, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
That was going to be my next question to you. Any other works you have going on that you wanted to bring up at this time?
Well, yeah, well, there is this one short story I wrote for one of the IronAge prompts. If you put in Faraway Frontier Substack, you should be able to find it.
Okay. Doing
Yeah,
that now. Far away, is that one word?
yeah, Faraway Frontier. I just feel I should bring it up, even though I really haven't done much with it, since keeping up with all those prompts would be hard. Yeah. No, it's that. Yeah, far. All right. All right. Is there any way I can get? Okay. Is there any way I can get it to you? Any way I can get like the link to you?
Yeah, if you look over at the chat, you'll see private chat. Click on
All right.
that and drop the link in there and I should be
All
able to
right.
access it pretty quickly.
All right. Private chat. You said.
Yep. Yeah, if you look over to the right on the StreamYard, you'll see comments, banners, banned, and below that is private chat.
Private chat. Comments. Yeah. Comments. And then all right, some more comments. Setting. I'm seeing comments and settings. Yeah, I'm kind of doing this from my phone, so. All right, so yeah, look,
Oh, so
okay,
you may be seeing it differently than I do on the computer.
all right, so let me see if this. Okay, are you
Oh,
able to see it?
yes.
Can you see it?
I got it.
All right, yeah, try bringing that up. Mhm.
The Tale of the Marooned Revolutionaries by Rawle Nyanzi. Sorry, I said it wrong. Rawle Nyanzi. There we go. Launched
Huh.
2 months ago.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't been able to keep up with all those prompts and the like because I'm writing like 5 million other things. Yeah, this one was a yeah. I mean, I have some kind of deepest lore there too, but it's but but the story I have there that's called Trust in God and the Mauser is about like a bunch of I figured that a bunch of like high school kids, a bunch of like high school kids with guns would be a very powerful force in an ancient Greece like world.
Oh.
So they decide they're going to free some slaves.
Is this? Do I have the right thing on screen right now?
I don't see
Toshika's.
it. Yeah, you do. Yeah, the thing you're reading is probably the correct one, but try to put it on the screen share because you're not sharing it right now.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I can see
There
it
we
now.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
Here. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah, for the art, I had just used a bunch of AI stuff, but this was before I decided I'd stop using AI. But I'm not going to go back and erase all my AI or whatever.
Yeah. I notice you seem to have an affinity for Japanese lore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I freely admit that.
Well, there's
I'm
there's there's a lot of interesting things to be taken from Japan. So that
Yeah,
they offer up a lot of cool lore, a lot of cool ideas.
that's true.
Yeah, you have been busy.
I have. Yeah, this one is yeah, again. I want to do more with this one, but I've got so much other stuff to do. Except with this one, I was kind of playing around in somebody else's fictional universe. The good thing about it, though, is that they kind of open sourced it, so anyone can write in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the whole point here of this particular story is that these kids have this idealistic plan to free these slaves, but then they think that in a society where that kind of thing is heavily entrenched, it may not be so easy to just you know to just cruise in there and be hailed as heroes or whatever.
Okay, and Raven Nevermore said posted and gilded. I am doing that now.
The funny thing is that it's share alike, so if another person wanted to kind of follow it up, they could. Because they licensed it in such a way that, yeah, you can write whatever you want in it, but then whatever you write has to have the same license. So if someone wanted to follow that up, they could.
Cool. Well, it's been posted and gilded. We'll see who bites. Uh, wow. So there's 5 works there. One in progress. Yeah, you are a busy guy. A lot of writing to do.
That's true.
All right. So we're we're coming up on the 2 hour mark shortly. So I'm gonna start
Yeah,
wrapping up here. Uh,
yeah,
so one more time, I want to bring us back to the Perils of Sasha Reed. I have that in the link below. Also, where else can people see your work? You said you're on Twitter, right?
yeah. That's mostly where I hang out.
Yeah, or under your actual name, or
Well, the Rawle Nyanzi name is there, but like the handle is Parvenu62.
let's see if we could find that.
I'm sure you'll find it if you just type like Rawle Nyanzi Twitter or something.
Let's see. Of course, since I'm not on Twitter too much. Oh, there's the search. All right, so I can type in your name and that should still pop up.
Yeah, yeah. There I am, right there.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right, I want to real quick drop that in here. I don't know if that works as a link in the actual chat or not.
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, so everybody check out Rawle Nyanzi on Twitter. Check out the Perils of Sasha Reed. It gets fun.
Yep.
It's boom. Yeah, it's like reversed on the camera there. I go to hold it up.
It looks right side up from here.
Yeah, no, the left and right from on when I'm looking at it on the screen. It's not like a
Yeah.
mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Raul, thank you so much for coming on. This is
Thanks for bringing me on.
yeah, I was planning to check out Volume 2, but now you got me more excited to check out Volume 2.
Please do.
Yeah. So everybody give Raul a follow on Twitter. Go check out his Amazon and hit the follow the author on that. Get that algorithm bumped up so people can see his work.
All
Thank
right.
you again, Raul. Anything else before we shut this down?
No, I think I've said everything I need to say.
Uh,
I'll see you later.
all right, man. You have a good night. And
You too.
everybody else, if you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like. If not, I appreciate you stopping by. I'll see you next time, and God bless.
Of course.